February 4th, 2015 meeting of the Milton School Committee will come to order. As is our tradition, please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag and our country. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
February 4th agenda, I only have one change under Chairman's report. I'm adding executive session report. Any other changes? So accepted with that modification. Citizen speak, I think we have some citizens for citizen speak. Executive session report. Kevin Vivieros, MFE. Karen? That's what I said.
Oh, you said Kevin.
Who is this guy? Is he my secretary or?
We heard Kevin.
Yes.
I heard Kevin.
Hi, my name is Karen Viveros, and I'm here tonight to tell you about the Milton Foundation for Education's Celebration 2015. I am co-chairing the event with Mary Ann Rull. This event is our largest fundraiser and will be held on March 14th at the Boston Marriott Quincy. This year's funds will go towards STEAM in education, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. There will be raffles, a silent and live auction for many great prizes, including a Disney World trip, Patriots tickets, and many more surprises. Our big fun raffle this year will be for a week-long stay in a cottage by the ocean in Doolin, Ireland, which was donated by the Quealy family. You must be there that night to win that. Invitations will be mailed any day, little snow delay, and we encourage people to buy their tickets right away. We expect to sell out. Tickets are $85 per person, and it is a completely seated event with a seated dinner this year. Tony V. will be our MC auctioneer. He's a Boston comedian who will definitely make sure the crowd has a great time. We are still looking for donations of auction items and financial donations to support the event. Please check the Milton Foundation for Education's website to find ways to support us. We look forward to having many Milton families there on March 14th to support our Milton Public Schools as we move full steam ahead. I also have some save the dates I'll give to you guys if you want to keep them. Anything else?
Thanks. It's always a great
Can we
event.
just ask
Oh,
one
sure.
question? I know we don't usually ask questions, but can people reserve a table to sit
You
together?
can do a table, yeah, or you could do like a half a table and we'll fill in the rest. Yeah, that'll be all. It's all the tickets will be bought online this year, so when you go online, you'll be able to fill in who you want your table mates to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Kristen Brennick. Mary.
Good evening. My name is
evening.
Kristen Brennick, and I'm a parent and educator of my son and daughter at the Glover Elementary School. I also had a daughter who graduated from Milton Public Schools 2 years ago. So I came this evening because recently has been brought to my attention some concerns regarding a regular education classroom at the Glover School. And as you know, I've emailed Ms. Gormley and school committee members here tonight, and I wanted to come and have it on public record, the concerns regarding the current second grade English class at the Glover School. And the concerns are raised around all students, not just students with disabilities and not just the students who are in the English class. But it's regarding adequate and equal services being provided in order for those students to make effective academic and social-emotional progress. Therefore, I want to put on record this evening to make sure that we can work together to ensure that those students in that class and Ms. Turner, who is an exemplary teacher, are getting the adequate services in order for her to provide all services to all the learners in her classroom. So I know that there's been quite a few letters, emails, and communications and meetings regarding this issue, and it's been almost 2 weeks, and there really hasn't seemed to have been anything resolved besides communications going back and forth. So I come here tonight to advocate for us to work together as a team to ensure that the services will be identified that are needed in that class, and that we will determine what Ms. Turner and those students in that class need in order to move forward and bring closure to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Heavey.
Hello, my name is Christopher Heavey, and I'm here to discuss my son's second grade English class at Glover. My son has described his class as loud and difficult to learn in. I've spoken with the teacher, Mrs. Turner, and she is working on improving the situation for my son. As some background, I have two older children. Overshot. As some background, I have two older children that have had the pleasure of having Mrs. Turner as their second grade teacher. Both of them had very successful years, so I am confident Mrs. Turner is an excellent teacher, which leads me to believe the issue must be something else. My concern is there enough educational support in this class? Obviously, this was an issue as an additional instructor has been added to the classroom for reading for 1 hour a day. I commend and thank the administration for adding this support. My longer-term concern is for the cohort of children in second grade English at Glover as they progress through the elementary grades together. Will there be enough educational support for all of them to be successful as they move through the grade levels? On January 29th, the superintendent sent a letter indicating some parents have questioned the inclusion of special education students in general education classrooms. I just want to be clear that this is not my message I bring to you this evening. On the contrary, all three of my children that have attended Glover had their best years in co-taught classrooms. I also support inclusion in the classroom as well. It all just needs the correct level of support to ensure that all students are successful. According to the Mass Teachers Association, the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 71B, and the Federal Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, I quote, integration that would cause a downgrading of curriculum or disruption of expected and normal progress of students in the classroom must be avoided. The key wording is not should be avoided, it is must be avoided. The reality is my son's second grade class has fallen behind in reading and writing. I am hopeful the additional teacher will help to alleviate this disruption of expected and normal progress. I ask that you take this into consideration for assigning additional resources for this current second grade classroom, as well as when allocating resources as you plan for future years. Thank you for your time and commitment to Milton Public Schools. And I look forward to the days when my son returns home from school to tell me what a wonderful day he had and how much neat stuff he got to learn that day. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of the November 10th minutes. Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
Moved by Ms. Sheridan, seconded by Ms. Bagley-Jones. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. Would like to invite up the Glover Site Council for their presentation.
Good evening. Before the site council starts to make their presentation, I'd like to, thank you. Sorry, I have that principal voice, and I'm so used to just talking like that. Before we present tonight, I'd like to introduce you to a very special team of students that started a new club this year at Glover School. This is our first Lego League team. This is the first time we've ever had this team, and we have 5 out of our 10 students who are here this evening. They wanted to talk a little bit about what what the year was like, what First Lego League was, and what they did in First Lego League. This is one of the initiatives that we've started at Glover School to support STEM and to get the kids really excited about what they're doing. This was an after-school activity. They came in on Saturdays, they stayed after school, they worked their lunch with me. They were just so wonderful. So I want to start by introducing William, who will talk a little bit about what they did and the research behind it.
Can they all come over and just stand beside them so they can be on camera?
We had a task of finding a new way to teach somebody something through a fun and modern way. And we thought of a comic book. And here we thought about teaching somebody self-confidence through something fun that kids like, which is a magic trick. So we made a comic book teaching somebody how to do a magic trick.
Wonderful.
Then they told us how to present it, and we were supposed to do these 3 things, research it, and find out stuff about the topic, and then share it with some people, and then see if they get it.
Talk a little bit about the second part. So in First Lego League, there's 2 real big parts of this. The first one is you have research, and you have to take a research project. So on all the First Lego League, they come up with 1 research question every year. And this year's question was, tell us, how do you teach something to somebody in a new and innovative way? So that was the first part. So they had to do the research, present this, and then at a competition, they had to present, what did I learn? They not only did all the research, they did this for their classmates as well. The second part of this was computer coding of a robot. So one of you has the robot. Who has the robot? So they had to build a robot and also build obstacles for the robot to go around. So who wants to talk a little bit about what you did and how you coded that robot and built it?
So the first thing that we did when we started it, the club, was we had to build all the obstacles so we could test the robot for its coding. So we built all the obstacles, and we also had to build arms on the robot, and we had to code it to do certain things with its arms and its wheels. We also made a table for we got the Milton Highs to make us a table, and we got we painted it black and made a cover so we could put all the stuff of the robot, the penalties, and the obstacles.
And after this all happened, and they had the robot, now I want to also give credit to the Milton High School robotics team because they built the table for us, and this is a big table. So we had the table at Glover School, and they would try to put the robot in there. They had to code it using our laptop and then run that. The last phase of this was the competition. So in early December, they went up against about 50 other teams in the area at Quincy High School. So we had a big competition there. And Henry and Ian will tell us a little bit about the competition. Henry, you think you're ready for telling us about what happened at the competition? Yeah. All right, great.
So we got there, and it was just a big gym full of a bunch of teams, I think 50 teams of about 10 people each, so about 500 kids. And we went and set up our trifold and our little place on our table. Then we went off for a practice run, and we found out about some rules that we had not known about before, which meant our robot couldn't do any of them. So we ran back, redid the coding, and then went off to the first run, and I went with Billy. We went up and it did okay, but we got touch penalties and we got 0 points. Then we went off to, what was it like? Yeah. So then we went upstairs into a classroom where we had a challenge to try our teamwork. So we were divided into two. Half of us got a picture with just circles, squares, and triangles. And we had to run to our partner and describe the picture so that they could draw it out. And we got points for accuracy and working together. So I was with Jake, and there was some confusion.
The mic.
We used about 3 different pieces of paper, so.
Then we went back down and got ready for our next run. And I think I was with Billy again, right? Yeah. So we went out and had the same thing where it got a bunch of points, and then we got a bunch of touch penalties because it wouldn't come back. And 0 points again. Okay, so then we went to lunch. Oh, so we went to technical judges, then lunch, where we just had to describe the robot and the struggles we faced building it. So me, Billy, and Ian did that bit mostly. Then we went to lunch, where we had soda, candy, and that stuff. After that, we went back down for another run, where we got the same score. Then where did we go to? Oh yeah. Then reading the rule book and paying attention to it is very important. So there were actually a bunch of challenges where we could have made some very easy things and gotten a lot more points for it that we did not know about and were told right then, and we couldn't really make the modifications because we did not have the pieces. So we learned to definitely read ahead, teamwork, and working together to get all the things that we can do and have to do together quickly is very important. And
Good job.
And just like doing what was fun with it.
Good.
that it's not really important the outcome, but more if we had fun.
Process.
Yeah, the journey.
Excellent job. I don't think they're going to sit down.
So in the end, at our last run, it finally worked, and we got 50 points and tied for 36th. And then
I can't tell you how proud I am of this team. This was a great, great year. This was the first time they had ever done anything like this. They stuck with it. They acted as a team. The enthusiasm was through the roof. It was fun for me to be part of this. We had 2 parent volunteers who coach them, that were there all the time. And one of those parent volunteers at the end, at that last Quincy, the Quincy qualifier, when we were all exhausted, said, I'm in it for next year. So, which is great news. So we'll be working on how do these fifth graders, when they're in sixth grade next year, can we continue that? And we're looking at how do we continue this. We will definitely be doing it at Glover again next year. It was really a lot of fun, and they were great to work with. Thank you, guys. And round of applause. And it shows, here they are tonight, even tonight.
Ms. Padera?
I just have, first of all, a comment and then a question. Is it Henry? Henry, you're way better at sneaking into a meeting late than I am, because you would have thought you were always already there. And I just wanted to let you guys know, I don't know if you know about this, but the high school's having a robotics tournament this weekend. Did all of you know about that? Well, Superintendent Gormley and I will be there, and I think the exciting time to watch is around noon.
12 to 5.
12
Anytime
to
you
5
come, we'll be there.
at the high school, right?
High school field house.
It's-
And you'll see the competition
Yeah.
that you'll be in high school.
Exactly. So you should definitely try to come so you can get some ideas and see that even high school kids sometimes forget to read the rule book and don't bring all the parts they need. But I'm really excited about what you've done so far and about next year's competition as well.
And it should be known that this is the first fifth grade robotic team in town, so you deserve a huge round of applause. And that, working on being a team and your resiliency, big round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Great job. And I can't say enough about the parent support that we had here, too. We had parents coming in on Saturdays when we were working on this, and they have been fabulous in terms of the support there. So, great going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know, isn't that great?
The school committee members right there. Very nice.
Big.
Well, I don't know how that I can improve upon that, but I can say that it really was an exciting year with them. So, thank you. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the Site Council. We have the Glover Site Council with us today and would like to present for you our 2014-2017 school improvement plan.
Good, so
Bring chairs up for them to come up and sit.
mouse is over there.
Yes.
Could I have the Site Council to bring chairs up and we'll sit up here? Thank you. This was a process that we started last year, knowing that our school improvement plan would be up in 2014. We started looking at all the goals we had last year and what were we looking forward to for the next 3 years. So our conversation started a long time ago as we started to really kind of put together where do we want Glover School to go. Our site council is made up of 3 teachers. We have one of our teachers here tonight, Mrs. Mary McCarthy. Mrs. Margaret Turner and Mrs. Janice Powell can't be here this evening, but they are also part of this. We have 3 parents on our site council. 2 of those 3 are here this evening. Mrs. Adrian Sullivan, Mr. James Silpelsa, and unfortunately, Mr. Raju Pathak could not be here this evening. This evening, we'd like to do 4 things. 1, review the Glover School mission statement. 2nd, go over the 2014 data. Talk a little bit about our school improvement plan and the goals and the strategies, and then the highlights we've had this year and the highlights we look forward to for the rest of this year. At Glover School, there's a commitment to academic excellence and high standards for administrators, teachers, and students. As a Glover community, we strive to provide a strong academic foundation and a love of learning in a secure, safe, and stimulating environment that values individual differences. Some of those data observations from this year's data is that Glover students performed in the top 10% in the state. Glover School outperformed the district and the state in math and science, tied the district, and outperformed the state in English language arts. In the high needs subgroup, the percent of students scoring in proficient advanced was greater than the number of students in the district in all tests, ELA, math, and science, technology, and engineering. In ELA, those numbers in high needs at Glover were 59% scoring proficient advanced, in the district 57, and at the state 50. In math, Glover students in the high needs subgroup scored 47% in proficient advanced, in the district 45, and in the state 40. Science, technology, and engineering, fifth graders, 67% of the high needs subgroup performed in the proficient and advanced, on the district 42%, and 33% on the state. 81% of all students were proficient in English language arts. When we look at the school, district, and state comparison, and we look at all students against the district and the state, 81% of all students at Glover performed proficient advanced in ELA, 79% in math, 71% in science. And when you stack that up, Glover students performed very, very well, outperforming the district and state in math and science, and outperforming the state in ELA. When we look at our high needs subgroup, at Glover School, 59% of our high needs students performed in advanced and proficient, 47% in math, and 67% in science. Again, this school is ahead of the district and state in high needs students performing in advanced and proficient in ELA, math, and well ahead in science. We look at the growth percentiles. How much are the students growing? And I've taken the last 4 years here. And we look at that, all students and high need students. And we see that from 2011 to 2014, all students all scored within that band of 40 to 60%. So we expect that between 40 and 60% of the students, the student growth percentile should be within that band. So both all students and high need students all scored within that 40 to 60 band. When you look at that in math, you see again, all students scored between the 40 and 60 student growth percentile band. So what are some of the goal setting we're doing using the data? Well, we are introducing new grades 3 through 5 FOSS science curriculum and STEM grade 3 program creative computing. This is across the district. We increased or modified targeted support for students, especially students in our high needs subgroup. We're increasing achievement, and one of our goals is in all areas with special attention to students with disabilities subgroup. Our next goal is to move students into advanced categories in ELA, math, and science, technology, and engineering. We will use benchmark assessments such as Fountas and Pinnell and Scholastic Reading Inventory literacy assessments, as well as district-created standard-based math assessments to drive the instruction. And we'll continue all other advancement initiatives, including Readers and Writers Workshop Model, Reading Specialists, and the Extended Day programs. At this time, I'd like to hand over the mic to Adrian Sullivan, our Site Council Parent Rep, who will take us through the first goals of our school improvement plan.
Thank you, Dr. Custis. So this year, along with all the other schools in the district, we were charged with creating a new school improvement plan. So Dr. Custis came to the table with all of the data that was there, and we rolled up our sleeves and said, okay, so how do we succeed in the future as well? So we have 3 goals. We'll talk about the rationale for those goals, strategies to achieve the goals, and the timeline, resources, and performance indicators. Those are all in that school improvement plan, which will be posted, if it's not already posted, on Edline. It will be posted. So goal number 1 is solely academic focus. And at Glover School, faculty members will work collaboratively using best practices and quantitative and qualitative assessments to support each student to achieve to his or highest academic potential increase the number of students scoring in the proficient and advanced categories on state assessments, and focus on improvement in the high needs, which the high needs group is low income, considered according to MCAS data, low income, English language learners, and students with disabilities. So the high needs, there's multiple subgroups that create the high needs group. And also in conjunction with the district-wide mandates of supporting early literacy goals in kindergarten through grade 3. So how are we going to achieve this goal, and how is this going to be a living, breathing document? As I mentioned, we talked data, and then we said, okay, but what does that look like in the actual classrooms, and how is that going to achieve the goals that actually are set out? And so there's 4 strategies underneath that goal. One is the faculty will engage in ongoing professional development and collaboration. So the school committee has talked a lot about curriculum development and providing teachers enough time to talk and identify best practices, and that's what we mean by qualitative. So the teachers are starting to get more time to discuss what's working in their classroom makeup, their student learners, how their students are learning. And a lot of great discussion has started to come through with that, and we look forward to actually supporting that more, and hopefully the school committee will support that more with more resources as well. Also common planning time as well for the faculty to reflect, discuss, and assess best practices. So within each classroom, within each grade, what are best practices based on the curriculum for each classroom and each grade? Ongoing review of assessment data. So as we all know, MCAS is kind of transitioning out. There's PARC, there's Common Core. We're not really sure how much legacy data we can apply to current data that will be coming in the next few years. And so it's really going to be qualitative driven for a short period of time until we can really assess the academic achievement. So another strategy as well is the enrichment activities. So targeted student support sessions. So extending the learning and addressing remediation of achievement gaps. So pre and post tests, what really occurs in the classroom, and how we best support what our teachers are doing every day. I'll pass it over to Jim.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about goal number 2, which is our school climate, and focusing on creating a positive, welcoming school culture. And if you look at these 3 pictures, this kind of represents some of the things that are happening within the school. The first picture is the 5th grade tile wall, which is each 5th grader gets to paint a tile, which helps them kind of encapsulate what Glover is to them. It hangs, it was this year, this last year was the first year we did it. The 5th graders haven't done it this year yet, but I think it's a great way for them when they come back and they visit a sibling to have something permanent in the walls of Glover is great. The middle picture, I believe that's either the Lego League or the robotics that obviously we saw tonight. And the picture on the right is the Math League, which is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, which happens before school with the help of a lot of parents, volunteers. So in order to create a positive, happy culture where learning can happen, there's several strategies that we've outlined here that are either ongoing, have happened, or are happening, or plan to be happening. The first part is constantly working to understand the diversity and background of all our families within the school system, within Glover, and constantly reaching out and having more and more activities that bring people together. The more our families interact with each other, we believe that the more sense of community and the right focus we'll have in making our decisions on how we go forward in all of the Glover decisions. Number 2, the Glover School will work to build a culture of equity and inclusiveness for all students and families. Really building on the cultural differences and the family structures that we have in our population. Number 3, in order to continue to build the strong relationships with the families, we will ensure that there's an ongoing regular communication. We've done this through regular emails, email blasts from both from school council as well as Dr. Cookstis, as well as the regular communication through the students themselves. And then lastly, the Glover School will work to create partnerships within the community members to bring opportunities to our students.
Third goal that we're looking at in our new school improvement plan is 21st century skills focus. The goal, recognizing our students live in a digital world, Glover School will support students' acquisition of skills that build proficiency and fluency in 21st century social and literacy skills. That's that Glover team right there at the competition. So how are we going to reach this? Well, the first thing we want to do is allow equitable access to quality learning tools, technologies, and resources. Then, utilizing rubrics in class to provide feedback to students on creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication, and coach students on ways to develop and improve these skills. Support learning opportunities that extend beyond the regular school day. And then work to allow the library space to become a well-used media center, where students and adults can gather to read, reflect, create, collaborate. Also, for the library to become a portal to build a virtual bridge linking students and adults to the global world. So, what are our next steps? At each monthly meeting, we would reflect on and review progress on each of these three goals, evaluate process and outcome benchmarks, analyze new data as it applies to the plan, celebrate the successes and learn from the challenges, and recognize that the school improvement plan is a living document and update and amend as necessary. Mary McCarthy is now going to go over the 2014 highlights, things we've done already this year.
Dr. Cookstis. This is a list of highlights from this year, and it certainly doesn't include the many highlights that happen at Glover School on a daily basis. Many of the highlights that you will see involve the great parent community we have, and so many of these things would not be happening without the parent involvement at Glover School. We have the Math League in grades 3 through 5, again with parent involvement in the morning before school. The expansion of STEM learning experiences with grade 3. It began in grade 1 and is now in grades 1, 2, and 3. Our fabulous first Lego League team that is here with us tonight. Our grade 5 lasting tribute tile wall, which you see up in the right-hand corner. Our box, our before school fitness program sponsored by Reebok. Our musical theater, which is a production put on by our magnificent music teacher, Colleen Martin, and she puts on a fabulous musical theater program that takes place after school. The PTI library update, we have a nice fresh coat of paint as well in the library this year. Another group of parents working on collaborating with the Common Core for our outdoor classroom. Examples of first graders going into the outdoor classroom, planting, watching in the spring as their bulbs come up. So it's really a hands-on activity. Morning mindfulness, again, a before-school program. Hip-hop dancers, as you can see up in the corner, was an assembly that we had at one point this year. Visits from the Museum of Science, first graders just had the opportunity to have the Museum of Science come and give their presentation on air, which is always a great one. The Mayan Artifacts presentation, the Massachusetts Water Resource Association, JA in a Day, science from scientists, and of course we look forward to this spring when we hope that the ducks return. Thank you.
So looking ahead, we have several things coming up that will, each of these will go to different goals that we talked about. The library book swap is happening right now, where kids can bring in books, and then next week they get to take some home, which is always fun right before school vacation because my boys read all vacation long. In March and April, we're going to have, I don't actually, maybe you can talk about it.
The Diversity Committee has worked on the initiative of the One Book, One School, and has decided on one hen this year to present. We have given all of the resources over to the teachers, and in March and then April, we'll be working on how to integrate the One Hen book into all of the classrooms this year. It's a great, great initiative from the Diversity Committee who worked very hard on that. And culminating in that will be a family culture night in April. So as we continue and we work through the One Hen, One Book, One School, we want to end that with a family culture night in April that we're planning right now. But I'm going to hand this over to Jay in a day for Jimmy because he was the one who really works on that.
So Jay in a Day is junior achievement. We applied for and won a grant again this year worth about $5,500 for all the materials for JA in a Day. This is, I think, the 4th or 5th year we've done it at Glover. It's I know it's also done at Tucker. At Glover, it's run exclusively by the parent volunteers, which requires at least 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 parents in each classroom for most of the day, and it's quite an amazing day that a lot of parents who volunteered for that day have come back and said that, when's JA in a Day this year. So it's a really great way to bring the community together. And sports night is in late May, and it's a great way to get everybody at Glover out onto the field at Milton Academy and do different activities involving different sports.
That's our school improvement plan, 2014-2017. Thank you for allowing us to present it tonight. We were very excited about it and really very proud of it, too.
Ms. Sheridan?
Thank you for that presentation. I'm very curious about JA in a Day. You said it's a great thing that brings the community together. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Sure. So Junior Achievement is one of the oldest educational charities in the country. It started as a high school project where literally, and these actually happen today still, it started in high school. Only about 15 years ago did the curriculum actually stretch into elementary school. So when it started, it was literally a way for entrepreneurship to be created and to give examples for kids in high school. So they literally, within a semester, they would, a small group of high schoolers would form a company, elect a president, go out and get shareholders, raise money, start a company, execute the company, close down the company, and return payment to the shareholders, all within one semester. And that really is kind of the driving force behind Junior Achievement is entrepreneurship and education of finance and economics, which I believe we need more of throughout our entire school system. So Junior Achievement is something I've been passionate about for years and helped start it at Glover several years ago. So I'm glad it's still going.
So I was familiar with Junior Achievement, but so JA in a Day, you do all those things in one day with the children?
Correct. So Junior Achievement is it. Besides that, owning a company bit, they have a five-week, 5-session, 45-minute session curriculum at every grade level that's appropriate at that grade level. And so what we found at Glover is doing it all in one day makes it accessible to the students, to the busy schedules the teachers have, as well as getting volunteers to come back 5 times is harder than just getting them once for a big chunk of time. So we managed it that way.
Thank you.
And Mr. Cepisa isn't giving himself enough credit. He single-handedly brought this program into the Glover, and it's been received by teachers, and now it's part of the Glover tradition. And you have a tremendous number of volunteers, but it takes somebody championing the program.
Yes, and Tucker's now done it for 3 years as well, so I'm pretty excited about that.
That's great. Just one more thing.
If we have any of our parents listening tonight, we need volunteers May 29th for the JA in a Day, and we welcome everyone.
And I just wanted to make one more comment that
Congratulations on your data. It's really terrific and is a testimony to the work that the teachers and the families and the students are the effort that you're putting in and the passion and commitment that you all have. So thank you.
Ms. Padera?
Before I forget, when is the book swap?
Book swap is next week, so the students are bringing the books last week and this week. They're allowed to bring up to 5 books, and then we take them by level, and then the students come in and they get to swap the 5 books they brought in for 5 new books. Well, 5 gently used and loved books.
Good, because I can send those in tomorrow. I forgot about that. And then I have a question about one of the goals or parts of how to achieve the goals. Work to allow the library space to become a well-used media center where students and adults can gather, read, reflect. How are you going to achieve that?
What our goal is to look at how do we open the library so that parents that might not have access to technology can come in there or use the resources that are in there right now. So part of this is, do we use it in the morning? Math League. So that's a great way to come in there at that point. So we have to look then at also how much more time. Could we do it on Saturdays? Could we invite people in? Can we also look at, do we have a parent, do we have a part there that can we build up books that parents might take out on parenting or on education? Those types of things, but also open it up. And how do we, looking toward the future, have our library as really an interactive place where our parents feel like they can also come in and use the computers. So we look, and logistically we say, okay, so we have the after-school program till 6. Do we ever have nights when we bring parents in? This year at Glover, I was listening to the staff who were having, some of them saying, I'm having a hard time making a table. These Google Docs, what do I have to do? What do I do? I don't get it. So we created a morning, Thursday morning, no stress, no shame, staff tech session. So we had people that came in and said, one of our staff members, Sarah Doherty, and then one of our teachers. And so it was just, come on in, and we're going to teach you a simple thing such as how to make a table and how to use it, how to use an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm thinking, can we add that and invite parents in sometimes to say, for a half hour in the morning, we're going to have these little sessions. Those types of things. How do we use the resources that we have in that library to really reach out to others?
I think that's a great idea, and I would just say that maybe you even want to include grandparents on that list.
Absolutely, grandparents, you're right.
Because a lot of adults now are becoming more savvy, but grandparents are those, and they love electronic devices and how to use them. And I don't know if you know about this, Dr. Cuxis, but there's a new class at the high school where the kids are teaching others on how to use computers and computer programs, so maybe they could use some of their high school volunteer hours in the evening to help out.
I think that's a great idea, Mrs. Padera. Yeah, I do.
I do have them sometimes.
I think you have them.
And then I just have one more question. So your scores that you've listed, are those for all grades 3 through 5? Is that right?
Ones are,
all of them?
yes, they're aggregate 3 through 5.
So, there is, while we're above the state and the district in many cases, there is a slight, some of the scores have, dipped throughout the years. Is there a spot where you think that we need to tackle? Is it, because it's all grades grouped together, so I don't know if 3rd grade's doing really well, but 4th grade was a problem in the past. How do we tackle that so that our scores go the other direction?
So one way that we're tackling that is by grade level, and now when we have the SMART goals for the teachers, they are working together in teams to say, okay, grade 4, you know what, we're looking at this and we're thinking that in answering math questions, text math questions, we're just not doing as well as we'd like to. So our grade 4 team goal this year among those teachers is to create more questions in math and have the children answer them. So that's one of their goals. So on that, each grade level, the teachers are looking at those and then creating goals to address those.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice job.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next presentation is going to be by the Milton Special Education Parent Advisory Council. Would they like to join us at the table? How many people she's bringing? We need more chairs.
Is Michelle on this?
Glenn, would you mind getting a couple of chairs? Ms. Conley, I'll ask you to make the introductions.
Zoom back together. We do Zoom back together.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Michelle Conley, and I am chairperson of the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. We'd like to thank you for inviting us here. So we're going to try to be brief in our overview on our organization. But we're excited to share some of the changes we've made to better serve the special needs community in the Milton Public School District. So here's an obvious change, is our name, logo, and tagline, as you can see. Our name now is the Milton Special Education Parent Advisory Council. And the graphic to us represents the three components. Parents need to help ensure the child receives free and appropriate public education, and that is advocacy, education, and participation. It also represents to us the partnership that's essential to inclusion and helping students to succeed, and that's the parents, the school district, and the community. And we'd like to thank Frank Susi, who's a local graphic designer, for contributing his time and his talent to this. So who are we? In a nutshell, we're a volunteer, parent-run, nonprofit group that serves families of children with special needs with education, training, support, and advocacy. And here, our organization is mandated by state law that's listed there. Section 71B requires any city, town, or school district to establish a PAC on special education. And the regulations basically provide further assistance on what the PAC's role is within the school district. I'm sure you've seen these figures before, but I put it up there to give you an idea of how many families we are here to support as well. With 564 students on IEPs, 47 in out-of-district placements, and 178 on 504s as of 2014. Next. And here are the disabilities that these students have. It gives us somewhat of an idea of the families and the parents we are here to support. It helps us to plan also for education and training on individual disabilities. Okay, so our elections were held in September of last year, which was a little late for us. They're typically in June. The good news is that we have a board that brings a wide variety of skill sets to tackle the various duties of our organization. And so I would just, some of them aren't here tonight because it's cold and flu season, and I think break your back as you shovel season. So we're going to start with Doug to introduce yourself. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Doug Connolly. I'm the treasurer, newly elected treasurer of the CPAC board. I have two boys in Milton High School.
I'm Shannon Gallagher. I have a daughter in the preschool.
My name is Nora Ferry, and I have a 5-year-old daughter in the integrated preschool at Collycott.
Hi, I'm Claire Keating, and I have a son at the Tucker School, and he's in the co-taught classroom.
So, so not only do the board members have children in various grade levels in Milton, we also have children with varying degrees and levels of special needs. And the reason I'm bringing that up is we're learning a lot from each other on this, and I think it's going to be helpful for our organization to represent the members in the community. Our goals and objectives, are to strengthen our infrastructure, improve our communication, increase CPAC membership, and advise the district. They're not much different than last year. What is different this year is how we needed to approach and achieve these goals, which led us to a close examination of our organization. We knew we had members in the past who were dedicated and smart and volunteered countless hours to helping parents in the district. But we also knew that our membership was at an all-time low, and the burnout rate was at an all-time high, and that we needed to take a step back and kind of set up shop. So we developed a have-to, want-to list, and so what we knew what we had to do, or we identified what we had to do, which was we had to build a solid infrastructure. We had to meet compliance guidelines under state law. We had to make management and financial decisions to support us. We had to upgrade our modes of communication with both parents and the district. And we had to identify achievable goals with deadlines that represented parent concerns. So I'm pleased we're almost there with the have-tos, so that we can get to the want-tos. And the want-tos is we want to provide a strong support system to parents now and in the years to come. We want to increase our membership so that parents are empowered with knowledge of the special needs process. Excuse my voice. We want to create partnerships in the community to provide more resources and opportunities for children with special needs. We want to earn our seat at the table in district decisions on special education programs and policies. And we want a school district that celebrates and promotes inclusion. So we've identified committees and assigned 2 board members to each committee. And overall, the co-chairs are responsible for goals and objectives, deadlines, creating templates for future members, recruiting members to serve, and reporting back to the CPAC board. We start with, we've talked a little bit about the restructuring, and I want to stress that we're looking to develop a system of practices to ensure longevity in our organization. Our treasurer is currently working on ensuring compliance is set and the financial aspects. Do you want to just touch upon a couple of?
Hi. The CPAC organization is not currently compliant. It hasn't filed a number of returns and things in the past couple of years, and we are trying to remedy that. We are sort of with the I guess at the pleasure of the IRS and how long it takes them to process our reapplications. But once that's in place, we should be back into a legal status, and we should. I'm developing a number of frameworks so that this won't happen again.
What does that mean? Community outreach?
So community outreach is one of the things we're in the beginning stages of with all the infrastructure work and identifying our priority list and everything. But the goal is to be able to reach out to as many parents in the community, provide resources, to reach out to families coming into the system through Step 1 early intervention, to increase our membership, and to really just be identified as support to the parents in the district.
Education and training.
So I co-chair the Education and Training Committee with Kevin Linane, and we have held 2 workshops, an IEP for my child and basic rights, and a assistive technology meeting, and we have another one scheduled for March on anxiety in the classroom, which we're hoping will appeal to a broad range of parents, including parents of children who are not on IEPs. So our job is to identify topics that are of greatest interest to parents and MPS staff, and to schedule speakers and promote the events, and to provide resources, print and online, for parents to consult after the actual presentation itself. And I will point out that the assistive technology meeting in January was well attended by a number of staff from the Collycott School, thanks to Holly Concannon getting the word out among her staff. And it was really great to see parents and staff there together. It was great.
I'll take the website, only because Amanda was supposed to just give you a brief update. I do want to say the anxiety workshop is extended to MPS staff as well. I think it's going to be a useful workshop. It's Dr. Angela Curry from NESCA. So website communications, we're trying to upgrade and enter the new, help me out, because I'm really a dinosaur when it comes to this type of stuff, but a comprehensive website that can serve as a resource to all of our parents. And Amanda is working closely with a student at Milton High School, Mary Gormley and James Jett and Karen Clasby helped us out to receive community service hours for his time. So we're working on that right now, and hopefully, I think by the end of February, that will be up and running. So the next committee is Advocacy Advisory, which is such a tongue twister for me, and I went to shorten it as an acronym, but it would be AA, and I didn't know if anybody had a sense of humor about that. Or if we could develop 10 steps with it. So anyway, quickly, here's the statute and regulation to authorize us to provide advice to the district and get more involved. I have to say, with us restructuring and organizing, what I have found is that each time I have reached out to administration or the district, they've opened the door for us. I think they're waiting for us to get organized to present the issues to them. So between Karen Clasby meeting with us monthly, Mary Gormley always has the door open. We just requested at the school committee meeting in November a subcommittee on special education or a liaison, and we received a response right away. Chairman Walker and Member Kelly joined us at our board meeting in January, and I think we all agreed that that was a pretty productive session. We were able to voice concerns that we identified as possibly systemic. And that's what we try to do as we go to our member parent concerns. That's where we start. We try to determine if it's an individual concern or if it's something that may involve district policy. So here they are. Criteria used to determine extended school year and extended day services, lack of social opportunities and inclusion. With the co-taught classroom, there's a few different ones. There's a concern about the model of removing a classroom, a SPED teacher in third grade, half-day on, and we've discussed these items, and the notes are detailed with Chairman Walker. We're also concerned with the co-taught that it's not being promoted in literature to parents of typically developing children in a positive light, I guess, or at all in the district presentations. However, we're finding that some places it is, and we're working with Ms. Sheehan and Ms. Clasby on that. Members cited funding or a lack of resources as the reason why a student cannot receive services. We're hearing that from many members. There are unclear or unwritten district policies, and the competency portfolios for MCAS and accommodations for the park assessment. Our overall goal, as we discussed with Chairman Walker and Karen Clasby, is, it could be summed up in one word, and that's transparency. I think this is essential, and what this means to us is to make the programs, policies, and issues as clear as possible so that both parents, gotta put this back, sorry, parents and district staff can make decisions when they sit at the table to discuss individual IEPs and 504s. And we understand that there's going to be differences on individual and disagreements on individual IEPs. That's not what we're talking about. Our goal is to provide these families with as much education and training on the various programs that you have and policies prior to that. So the transparency checklist that we developed, it starts with the special education concern. The next level is to the question of, is there a district policy or not? If so, is it written? The next question is it in compliance or not? Another question to ask ourselves is, if it is in compliance and there's still a misunderstanding or an issue, does it require staff training or does it require parent training? And then we get to the point where we can advise and advocate. So transparency to us offers movement within the system. CPAC priorities. So once we get the parent concerns and we take the opportunity to clarify this with the district. If there is a district policy, we're able to share that with the parent. So based on parent feedback, meetings with the school, and research on these policies, we've identified these as the priorities. I'm just going to quickly recap them since this was covered extensively with Mr. Walker. And I'm not sure how that's going to be presented. I'm just trying to save time. But, so inclusion, co-taught classroom, I think I touched on a few of those. Yes, yes, and I'm going to take a while to address
you
that.
want me to do? Okay. I was just going to say, because I think it might be of interest to some of the folks here as well from Glover, that the co-taught, the viability of the co-taught program is of chief concern to the CPAC, meaning that I think that the committee is concerned that it be viewed as a competitive, desirable program, not only for students on IEPs, but for their typically developing peers. And so to make that classroom successful, it needs to be structured appropriately with the necessary supports. So
So the criteria, did I go over the criteria with the extended day? No. So, we're looking at extended school year and extended school day services. I think with ESY, we've determined we have a fundamental disagreement on the criteria used to determine this. Social emotional curriculum, we've discovered that the district does use the anti-bullying, or points to the anti-bullying curriculum as this, and we're requesting that a social emotional curriculum be developed, especially when you consider the types of disabilities we have in our district. And then the achievement gap was not originally on our priority list this year. We discovered it was a district priority, and we believe that many of the issues and concerns that we have over policies and programs in the district may feed into the achievement gap. And we think it's important to ask the following questions when we're looking at it, which is Milton Public Schools an inclusive school district? And what policies, strategies, and plans are in place to support inclusion? So, we're all aware of the studies out there with Dr. Hare and the MCAS results, and I know that Boston City School District is, the CPAC chair is teaming up with Dr. Henderson in developing an inclusive environment high school, and they're thank you. They will be presenting at a conference on the 7th of March that we'd like to see to describe how they did this. So we're interested in what types of plans that the Milton Public School District has to, what kind of strategies in moving forward. Instead of looking at the numbers, are we going to be reaching out to parents and ask them if there's certain policies or programs that are not available, or is is it a problem with ESY? Is it many of the issues that we're bringing up? Is it the co-taught, supports that are in place? We don't have a definitive answer, but it's I think, something we definitely need to look at. So in meeting with Mr. Walker, we developed a to-do list, and one of the things that we will be doing is looking at best practices and model programs, and for your review. And we're working on that right now, and my hope is by the end of February that we'll be able to provide that information to you. So, in the future, so as we move on, we welcome a partnership with the school district and the community. And we welcome a seat at the table. And we take that very seriously, and we're organizing ourselves to be able to provide some information to you on parent concerns, and back that up with research and documents to support it. We welcome transparency in our discussions so that movement occurs one way or the other, but hopefully all for the betterment of the students in our district. And we welcome an inclusive environment, one that can be supported with resources, but that will benefit all students in the district, not just students with special needs. So we thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Bagley-Jones?
That was great. It was really inspiring to see all the changes that you've made, and I love the logos and the committees, and I mean, what a great job that you guys did presenting it. I had one question. You talked about the social emotional curriculum. Do you know of other districts or other curriculums that are used? Not Second Step, not, do you know the social emotional curriculums? Do you know of others that are being used elsewhere that we could look at?
So we're looking into that right now. We do know, Michelle Garcia Winter's program to incorporate into a curriculum. But no, as far as a district curriculum, not yet.
All right, I would be curious about that. And then, I was really impressed with everything that you did, but also, I have to say, sounding a little touchy-feely here, the grace and dignity with which you presented a very vulnerable issue. You have kids that have some special challenges. Many of us do, many parents out there. And to stand up here on TV, I don't think is very easy. And I'm just so impressed with that and so grateful that you're willing to do that. I think that's really being an advocate and getting people involved. And frankly, I found it very inspiring. And that sounds so touchy-feely, but I really mean it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Now, I'm embarrassed.
Ms. Padera?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Just about your, some of your workshops, your classes, how are you getting that out to the public so that they're aware of it? Because I think I've heard of some of them, but sometimes I'm not sure where I get things from school committee or other lists. So I just want to see, have you reached out to the PTOs to make sure they are sending that out to their members?
So we've had a bit of a struggle with that, and we're still compiling that list and trying to determine who. I just received a list of all of the PTO leaders, and we need to get that out. But even I know the superintendent's office has been great in helping us out, but when those are sent out, it depends on the notifications. Some of the schools will pick it up and put it in an electronic backpack.
Yeah.
But there's other schools that we're hearing reports they know nothing about it. So we're hoping, as we develop our website as well, that we can get the information out as much as possible about our website, and it will be there. The special education office has been great as well to send out, they send out 2 or 3 times the information, because they have the master list of people on IEPs and 504s.
I was going to say, yeah, I think Facebook can, I know that a lot of parents say they get so much email, sometimes from the schools, they kind of look at the title and then I'll go back to it later, or they don't look at it. But Facebook sometimes just is a reminder, like it's tonight, like, because people don't electronically, sometimes people don't put it on their calendars right away, and just those reminders can go out. Because I think they were really fantastic looking workshops, and who it can appeal to. And a lot of parents talk about anxiety in the classroom, so I think that would be a really March 10th, and that was my other question.
So we just secured her, and we heard that there's a string concert in the auditorium, so.
Oh, yes, there is.
we're working finding a location.
7 to 9.
I'll be talking with
7 to
Maura,
9.
right, in the next couple of days, so.
Just to make sure it doesn't.
This was just confirmed on that date.
Typically, though, we meet in the middle school library. Typically, the workshops are held at the middle school library, but we think that, we hope that this will have such broad appeal that we'll need a larger venue.
Okay, and then just a couple other questions. On this, I don't want to, Mr. Walker might be talking about this too, but just at the end, you said that you're working on recommendations, and one of the things you talked about was the co-taught classroom, make sure there's appropriate supports. Is that something that, are you recommending it stay at the same level of support, that it increase supports, or is that something that Mr. Walker is going to talk about, or you're making recommendations later about?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how deep to delve into that, because what I'm doing is reporting parent concerns.
Okay.
And I'm not sure this is the forum to, but you tell me to list those individually. It's overall, but I mean,
Okay.
as far as what parents are hearing about paraprofessional support.
Okay, so it's something
Uh,
you have a list of things that, and you're kind of going to be working with them with the school on that.
Right, and
District.
those are listed in the detailed minutes.
Okay.
I just sent out to Chairman Walker today.
Okay.
But I can,
Best practices, how best
Right.
practices would compare to the go-to model that we have now, and how we could look at improving it. So that
Yeah, exactly.
it's attractive program to both students with special needs and
Well, yeah, it should be, a absolutely attractive program to a lot of people, I think, and getting them to know about it in the best way and making sure that it is all that we say it is important as well, so.
Mr. Zulus?
Thank you for that. Michelle, just one question. You mentioned a disagreement on the criteria for extended school year and extended day services. Could you elaborate on that or describe what the nature of the disagreement is?
the disagreement involves, Milton Public School interprets the criteria in, as regression recoupment first, and then considers the other criteria listed after they determine whether regression has occurred. Our interpretation is the other criteria needs to be considered as well. So, yes.
Diagnosis, disabilities, the other issues that the individual has.
Okay.
So we've reached out to the
we have a list
Federation for
of-
Children with Special Needs, we've reached out to other parent advocates, we've reached out to other school districts, and our information is that our interpretation is correct, and I think that at this point, and this is transparency right here, and the district's information is that they're correct. So it's a big question mark, and a lot of parents are very concerned about it, and it's something that I think no matter what the difference is, we need to look at it a little further, especially when we're looking at the achievement gap. Is that a reason, if all of these students are being denied, is that something that ties into that? Or get an answer, maybe we have access to the school legal counsel, and we can get a better answer from legal counsel as to why the district has made that determination.
Interesting.
So we have a list of 14 areas of focus. That's one of them, but I think Ms. Connolly was working hard to try to do a high-level discussion tonight and not a discussion of
Yeah.
the merits or details of any one of these. Ms. Kelly?
Thank you all very much for coming out on yet another night, and your volunteer efforts to really make it a great environment at the Milton Public Schools for all children. So you talked about the fact that you put on seminars, and in years past, there's been what I think was referred to as a roundtable, where parents could just come out. It wasn't to advise, it was just to really hear and listen. Is that still happening? And how often does it happen if parents wanted to take advantage of that?
That is still happening, and we dedicated our first meeting in November actually just to hearing parent concerns. So some of the priorities that we've identified have been a result of that initial meeting, right? So these are the issues that we keep hearing coming up. And so we did that in November, and there's always an opportunity to do that after the organized workshops as well. We felt like this year we wanted to do a little bit more focus of on education and training, and yet still give people a forum for voicing concerns without having the meetings devolve into a discussion of one particular person's problem, which can sometimes happen. And while we recognize that it's very important for people to have that venue, and we fully support their need to be able to discuss that with other parents, it can be alienating sometimes for attendees, so it's a very delicate balance that we're trying to improve upon. And there will be additional roundtables, I believe, in April and May, so.
Thanks. Excellent.
Sure.
Nora and Kevin, who serve as the co-chairs, did a fabulous job in creating a template for how to run the meetings, and they're excellent facilitators. So
I also want to thank you for this wonderful presentation and say I'm so also, as other people have said, impressed with the changes that you've made. I think your messaging is so positive and so powerful for all families, and your taglines of advocate, educate, and participate. I think 3 is the number that you go with, but I think 2 more that would be wonderful, or really speak to what you've spoken to tonight, are support and celebrate, because there's a lot to celebrate about the education of our students that are on IEPs and 504 plans, and students who are in out-of-district placements. There are a lot of celebrations to have there. And you all are providing the support for the families to allow them to be able to enjoy that celebration, I think, because I think when you band together and you truly support one another and educate, then you're providing a great service, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Nice job.
Very briefly, before we go on to the chairman's report, we heard from parents of rising first graders that they wanted a joint first grade information night. So with the no school days, we're in the midst, we sent out today an email blast, so I'm not going to go over all the dates, but we've rescheduled the school committee and administration FY16 budget meetings at all of the schools. A few of those we put down as tentative, but for parents of rising first graders or anyone viewing, on February 23rd in the Milton High School auditorium, we're going to have first grade information night for all the parents and guardians of rising first graders. And on March 2nd, I believe the next Monday, is that the next Monday night? We're going to have the system-wide STEM night for parents of rising first graders, and that will be at the Collycott Cunningham. But all of these nights and events are on the e-blast that we sent out this afternoon. We'll put this on the front of the website tomorrow, and we've rescheduled all of our budget presentations. And as Chairman Walker referred to, tomorrow night, we have another school committee meeting, and I've detailed in the blast that went out today, per Member Kelly's request, that Dr. Laura O'Dwyer, who presented 2 years ago, the French-English MCAS data, will be presenting tomorrow night in a similar format school committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as you heard Ms. Connolly say, I think Ms. Kelly and I would agree that the meeting that we held with the CPAC on January 20th was a productive discussion. That was in response to their request to create a school committee subcommittee. I think we've decided that for the present, we've identified, as I said, 14 areas of focus, and we've agreed that we will attend a CPAC board meeting on a quarterly basis, and that should, for now, address both the necessary communication and a way of making sure that we're moving forward and making some progress on those issues that we've identified. I'll send out to the school committee tomorrow. I've already sent it to the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and our director of pupil personnel services, but I'll send out the list of areas of focus. But just a few highlights. There are a number of areas where we've agreed that we can collaborate, we can take advantage of their expertise, and they can take advantage of ours. Identifying grant sources for social emotional curriculum and after-school program enhancements, participation in the planning for the school district, health, social emotional well-being, and life skill preparation goal. That's the school district goal that we developed. Ms. Padera is leading the team that's working on that, but I've agreed to convene a meeting that would include some CPAC representatives with that team so we can make sure that we have their input. Making sure not only that we have the best SPED policies, but that those policies are accessible on the website, and actually looking locally, regionally, and nationally at model policies and best practices, and then finally collaborating on more literature from the Milton Public Schools that addresses the positive aspects of the co-taught classroom model. So there are, as I said, 14 different areas of focus. Those are a few, and we'll be working through those and making sure that we done the necessary analysis and communication with the CPAC.
Great.
On the school committee, the ever-changing school committee schedule, so our efforts to schedule the joint selectmen, warrant committee, school committee meeting on the 5-year financial projections are thus far unsuccessful. Most of us were available on the 9th, but the warrant committee wasn't. We already had a commitment for the other two, well, for one of the other dates, and the third date they gave us was February vacation. So it looks like we will be meeting, but it'll probably be after the all-night warrant committee meeting on the 25th.
The all-night warrant committee meeting?
Yes. Well, formerly known as the all-day warrant committee meeting, but now it's in the evening, so we're calling it the all-night.
So that means February 9th, there's no meeting with the warrant
That
committee, so
means
that's
the
available now.
warrant committee was not available.
And then I have something for Tuesday, the 10th, with a question mark,
Correct? That's our next regular school committee meeting,
and not Wednesday.
and not Wednesday.
Okay.
Wait.
So this hasn't been updated.
No. It does say February 10th, if you're looking at the same one I am, but open budget hearing, but that's a regular school committee meeting,
We have a school committee on February 10th.
Tuesday, next
Right.
Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
And a school committee meeting tomorrow night, which should be short. And then we have a meeting on the 12th with the warrant committee to address any follow-up questions to the budget. That will be posted as a full school committee meeting, but as I said in my email, I think the finance subcommittee can handle that if necessary. And we have rescheduled the PTO presentations?
Yes, we're waiting for...
We know when those are?
Well, I put them out in the email blast today. I'll send a calendar to the school committee tomorrow morning. We're waiting for 2 PTO presidents to confirm, but they've been very flexible with us. But now you just made another night available. So we'll have those firmed up by the time you meet tomorrow night.
Okay, let's ensure that the majority of the committee members are available on those nights.
They too have made themselves available.
Good. Ms. Sheridan?
Is it possible to combine some of the PTO presentation nights, just so there aren't, like, do Cunningham Collycott together?
Cunningham
Collycott
Collycott
are together.
And Cunningham
Pierce and high
Collycott is
school.
together.
I knew
And
Pierce
the high school and
is.
PS are together.
Okay.
Is it possible to, I know there are some, if they're on Thursday nights, I can't go because I teach, so I don't know if we all want to go to all of them, or, I go to the ones I can go, or,
Yeah, I mean,
What's the best way to
it's
do that?
understood that everybody's not going to be at every one,
Okay.
but I'd like to make sure that those individuals who want to go or at least
Okay.
have a shot at it.
got it.
Okay, well, once we get that nailed down, then I think we've got our February schedule, at least up to February 25th, nailed down.
Thank you.
And also, I just wanted to report out on our, the executive session votes that we took in December. We approved a salary of $108,508.52 for Bill Ritchie, Director of Consolidated Facilities, effective July 1st, 2014. And we approved a salary of $192,209 for our superintendent, effective July 1, 2014. Finance Subcommittee?
Yes. First, we have approval of a vendor warrant. Pavlicek?
Vendor warrant number 32 dated February 5th, 2015, needs to be approved in the amount of $287,876.23.
So I would move that we approve vendor warrant, sorry, what was the number?
32.
32 in the amount of $287,876.23.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Kelly, seconded by Mr. Zulus. Any discussion? On the motion, all in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Ms. Bagley Jones, where were you? Okay. 402, Mara. Second quarter report?
Yes. Again, Dr. Pavlicek, we'll turn it over to you.
It's, again, an informational item. I gave you several spreadsheets with our fund balances as of December 31st, so halfway through the year, with a cover letter explaining that at this point in the year, we're in good shape. I went through the various different lines to say, you know, our largest line, of course, is our salaries, and it's our payroll midway through the year is where we would expect it to be, which is a little tricky to figure out, since some people, it's not half the year's salary. You have to go by how many times different people are paid. But overall, we're in good shape at the midway point of the year, and it's just I've laid out in the various different line items where we are and what our expectations are and what any concerns would be. It doesn't require a vote, it's just an informational item. Stereo.
I would ask that both the first quarter and second quarter reports be posted on the website under the budget section.
Sure.
Thank you. And that's it.
Policy Subcommittee.
Yes, Policy Subcommittee.
What we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, nothing exciting tonight, just a second reading. So let me get in front of me, and you all can get in front of you from your packets, the amended background check policy. That's it. Policy ADDA. No, I have it. You keep that. I'll get mine. I know. Well, I can shuffle and talk at the same time. The amended policy ADDA that we approve, we approved the background check policy this past summer, and then we amended it along the lines of what had been suggested by the MASC. The policy subcommittee recommended the amendments. This committee had a first reading at our last meeting, which I think was the 14th. And just as an update, what we did was to, based on the recommendation, we inserted a paragraph regarding the alternatives to the district in the event that criminal record information was incomplete. And so that gives the district some additional alternatives, and that paragraph, if you're reading from the packet that the draft that was in the packet, that paragraph, that new paragraph is on page 4 of 6, and it's the second paragraph on page 4 of 6. That was the added paragraph, and the deleted paragraph is no longer in the draft that you have because it was deleted, and that paragraph simply was, in the view of the MASC and the various lawyers who'd reviewed this, duplicative and unnecessary. And so, I would move, well, first I would ask if there's any questions, any questions on it, and then I would ask that we have a second reading and approval of the policy.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Could you say in 2 sentences, summarize this?
Summarize the background check policy?
I mean, I'm looking at this, and you're saying this paragraph, Mr. Pratt, I don't really know what the...
Okay, so this is the policy, ADDA, that we approved in the summer. I believe it was in June. And this sets out the policy and procedure for the district conducting background checks on employees.
Okay.
That's the general overview. And then in I believe it was November, December, the MASC recommended some amendments to this policy, and those are the amendments that that I tried to articulate previously.
Thank you.
Ms. Sheridan?
I just, for the viewing public, maybe you could talk very briefly about the difference between a Corey check and a fingerprint criminal history check? Or maybe it's not brief, sorry.
No.
I think we're talking about this topic, but we're really not saying what it is.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think we did go into it at length when we put the policy in place, but just as a quick overview, the CORI is the criminal offender record information that school districts have the opportunity to review for potential employees. That information is considered very confidential and can only be used by certain employees, and so this sets out procedures for doing that. And then the fingerprinting is really the additional add to this policy that really we put in place this past summer, which gives the district an additional review of background information for potential employees.
So I just have one thing that I would add to that, sorry.
Yeah, please.
Just that oftentimes we ask parents to have Corey checks. And the reason we do that is because they'll be volunteering in a classroom working with students, but we don't ask parents to do the fingerprint, right? I was looking for that
Right.
differentiation,
Yes.
sorry, I just...
No. That's absolutely, I believe that's absolutely correct, and that's what we do now, and that's what we do now under the current policy. And that doesn't change. That doesn't change with these amendments.
Thank you.
So I believe that was a motion in some form.
I'll second it.
Well, I haven't made the motion yet, but now that if the discussion's over, I'll make the motion.
Good.
And I'll make a motion to approve the background checks policy ADDA as amended.
Moved by Mr. Zulus, seconded by Ms. Sheridan. Any discussion? On the motion, all in favor? It's unanimous.
And so concludes the report of the policy subcommittee.
So we don't have any old business or citizen speak topic response, but there were a couple of questions raised at tonight's meeting regarding the environment and the level of support in the Glover second grade classroom. So I've asked the superintendent, I know that we've had extensive conversations over the last few weeks about this issue, but I've asked the superintendent to be prepared to respond at our February 10th meeting with regard to what conversations have occurred, what analysis and conclusions have been reached, and what, if any, outstanding issues there are. Any next meeting agenda items other than that?
So just to clarify, tomorrow night is just the Laura
Just the
Dwyer
presentation, correct. Ms. Kelly?
And tomorrow night is here?
It's here, yeah. Same place, same time.
And it will be aired.
Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Padera.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Zulus. We are adjourned. All in favor? We're adjourned.